thinking more of those winter thoughts. Okay, this is part 2 of talking about winter camping. First thing I want to say is this is really geared toward people that are wanting to go camping maybe below freezing, 20 degrees, possibly the high teens. If we start getting to 0 degrees, that opens up a whole new level of winter camping. Gear-wise, preparedness-wise, stove-wise, a lot of different factors come into play there. So bear in mind that this video, we're really talking about people that have been camping in maybe 40 degrees now, and they want to get down to freezing, 32. Maybe they want to get down to 25, 21, or the high teens. So just going through some things to think about if you want to go camping in this weather. So at least if you think about going out for winter camping, you've got a couple ideas in your head of how to make it a bit more of a success for you. Now, temperature-wise, it's just a few degrees colder than it was yesterday when I was shooting this, but it feels a lot more cold today. You know, and bear that in mind. What you read temperature-wise and what you're going to experience in the woods are two different things. There can just be a breeze coming through camp the whole time, and that changes things. Sometimes it's just the moisture in the air. There'll be days when it's sunny and super cold, and there's days where it's overcast and not as cold, but that overcast day is damp. So take that into consideration when you plan your trip. Look at the weather, do the best you can to prepare, and then be ready to improvise. Now, I was talking yesterday about clothes and keeping, your neck, your head, your wrists, your feet warm. And I wanted to visit back. I dug out another pair. These are those wristies, all right? And it's a company that makes a thing, because you can't find these ones unless you want to make them yourself, like this. And I showed you a short pair yesterday. And the pair I wear, they extend up your arm like this. So keeping this area warm is just try it. If you don't believe me, cut an old sock off and make one if you don't want to invest. Just cut a thumb hole in it so it won't slide down. Try an old wool sock or the warmest sock you have. Wash it first if you would. But the wristie's just got a finger hole, and this is the long one, and it just goes like this. And that's what it looks like. And then you just bring your jacket and everything down over it, right? And then when you want to add your first layer of gloves, which I've got my possum down gloves, and I wear these a lot. I cut my fingers out so I can use my fingers. We're going to cover gloves in a little bit, but your glove will go right over your wristie, and then you've got no gaps between your glove and your jacket, and you stay real warm right there because your hands are down in snow. They're doing a lot. That, my friends, is a tip that's probably worth you painfully going through this video watching a lot of me, okay? I'm layering my hands, I'm layering my torso, I'm layering my legs. And I wanted to say, if you're hiking in your boots and you're afraid that's your only pair of boots, even though your foot's gonna get wet, maybe try putting that baggie, now that bread bag type thing inside your boot. Your foot will get wet going out, but when you get to camp, your boot will be dry. All right, so then you're just gonna take that wet foot out, put on dry socks, and your boot's dry. Because when I hike whenever I backpack in my Keen boots, now, they don't have a liner in them, they just have an insole, all right? And I'll hike in one and I'll change it out, but man, I have hiked before in cold winter, hiking out pretty hard, and that boot, my sock was soaked and that boot is wet, and then my boot freezes up. I just spread it wide open so I can get my foot in, do the best I can. Had I worn a vapor barrier in there, it probably wouldn't happen. Just something to think about. So in this 23, 25 degree temperature right here, I'm pretty comfortable. I probably would have my balaclava on. I just don't have it right now. But a balaclava, which I wear all the time, which is basically just sort of a little hat that goes over your head and your neck. So now I've slipped my balaclava on, and you can see that whole thing. Back of my neck is warm. Then by the time you put your beanie on, this beanie I've had for like 17 years, which it says Eddie Bauer on it, but I've never been able to find one exactly like it. And balaclavas are nice. You can pull them up. If it's just getting too cold, and when you're sleeping at night, if you have to, I can go like that. But often what I do, and if your balaclava is moist in the morning, just take it off, put it in your pocket a while. Believe me, it'll kind of dry it up. And I often do this. I layer my head. I wear this knit hat my daughter made me out of the finest Icelandic wool. And having two hats on, and if I had a balaclava, my head is instantly warmer. This is why, instead of a balaclava today, I'm using this. It's a neck warmer. My daughter made this too, but you can buy one at any camping store. They're usually made of fleece. Just called a neck warmer. It's just a tube of fabric. You can pull it up over if you get cold. What I like to do a lot, let me take this one hat off. If I'm at camp, the back of my neck there is just a little exposed. Take that neck warmer and I tuck it up into my hat. Like that, I hope you can see that. It's just tucked in there and it keeps that little breeze off the back of my neck. And it makes a huge, huge difference. Or I just pull it up like that. I have, and I've never been able to find another one, but I have a felt face mask. And I often sleep in that in cold weather, and I like that it's got the gaps, and I can pull that down over my eyes, and when I'm sleeping like that, never fear, never fear. Now you gotta keep your water from freezing. So the trick here in Minnesota is not having more water than you're gonna drink in a certain amount of time. I make cozies from my water bottles out of Reflectix, and that works really good. You're gonna have to see it, aren't you? Let me go get it. All right, so here's my Camelback, but basically an Nalgene size water bottle. So there's one piece of Reflectix right there, cut large enough to go over another piece. And then my bottle fits pretty snugly down into this one. And that, even in severe cold, keeps my water from freezing for a long time. So I'll melt some snow for water. It might be boiling or it might just be very hot, and if it's boiling, I keep my top just a little bit loose, put the whole thing just down in the snow till that cools off just a little bit so that pressure's not building up. Then I tighten it and, you know, put that over there, and with that hot water in there, man, that will stay hot for a long time, or at least not freeze. I mean, I've left them sitting for hours and gone over and it was not really hot anymore, but not even frozen. And at night when I sleep with it, I don't sleep with it in these. I take these out, put them in my pack. I take my bottle, I put it in a 2-gallon baggie, and I wrap it and I sleep in my hammock with it, and it rests right up here by my hand. And never had it, you know, always check your bottles for leaks every year and make sure it's not leaking, that you trust it, and your top is clean, nothing's malformed from hot water. That way, you know, I don't need the Reflectix on there, and I can feel that hot water is against my wrists, and getting warm water or hot water right there on your wrists is a beautiful thing, man. So that's what I do. You might be in winter that's not so severe. You could just have your water before you go to sleep, you know, hot water. Doesn't really need to be boiling. Put it in there, put it down in your pack, wrap some extra clothes around it or something. Just put it down in your pack or bury it in the snow, and you'll have water the next day, guaranteed. Oh, I wanted to add for the water too. These insulated water bottles they make nowadays, with some warm water or some hot water in there, it also lasts a long time. And I'm gonna start carrying that when I got it last year after winter, and I'm gonna start carrying that this year along with me. I've tested it outside, and your cap can kind of freeze on sometimes, but anytime that happens, you know, you just gotta use some hand friction and just get on there and rub that hand a little bit, or just, you know, get that thing frictioned up, and then you can usually crack that top. But these are another great item, and I'm seeing more and more people bringing those with them winter camping. Have your hot cocoa or whatever you got, whatever you want in there. You could have a toddy if you'd like, if that's your thing.